Oh, that's what it was. The bud blocking the place. Are you ready to visit Morizora? If you need to talk to anyone or finish anything, it's probably best to do it before we see him. Is there something to do? When you're ready to visit Morizora, we can return here. Is there more to do? Let's figure this out. Maybe there's more Saito-sans in there. I do want to find out as soon as possible what happens, though, in the ending. Oh, maybe this goes... Oh, I was going to say it goes to the inaccessible well, but... I guess not. Jeez, this game is really depressing. It's hard to really describe what this game is like. Hey you guys, can you feel it? The whole cave feels happier. Morizora is awake at last. I'm assuming everyone is new dialogue, so this might take a while. How are you? Okay, never mind. Honey? Honey! Let's check on Winston, because Winston helped us, right? Everything is probably done. Did Gemma wake up? I wonder. No. Hi, Winston. Oh, hello again. It's so good to see you. I got through the challenges Morizora gave me, so I'm gonna go visit him soon. You completed your challenges? Oh my goodness, that's great news. Wow. I guess that means you might be leaving the forest after this, going back to wherever you came from. I'm not sure yet. Well, I just want to say thanks for everything. We're gonna miss you both a lot. That face, though. Wherever you go, whatever you do, just remember you have a home here, okay? Thanks, Winston. I'm guessing this is locked. Oh, it's not? Okay. So if Yami is a part of boy, then what did the father mean by them? Take care of them, he said, right? Sue. I'm so sorry. She asked me to make sure that her jar of marbles was delivered to your room. Sue also asked me to tell you to take good care of all her planets. You made her very happy. I'm not sure if this implied that Sue died or left the hospital. But since the father died, I'm assuming it's the same thing. Life is strange, isn't it? When you feel like you can't go on, the most random things can remind you that you need to have hope. We never know what's going to happen. Will we fail? Will we succeed? Will we sink or will we swim? We don't know. But I've learned that we can't approach life with fear and anxiety, or we aren't really living. We have to hope for the best and keep moving forward each day. That's the best any of us can do. Thank you for caring, and for reminding me why it's important to have hope. It means more to me than you know. I guess we've got to check up on everyone. Kisaburo's not here either. This room is open now. Yeah, so the mystery, I don't feel like the mystery has been... Oh! The place near Winston. Okay, hold on a second. Up in the Skylands. There's still stuff I need to explore in Leboland. This beanstalk that goes up here, the door was locked, wasn't it? I'm assuming it's unlocked now. Oh. Okay, never mind, I lied. What about the sign? The sign probably doesn't say anything different. I'm gonna explore as much as I can. Just to make sure. Yeah, the sign is like a side optional thing, so... Nothing new there. What about that creepy blob guy? Wait. Huh? Thankful Turkey Tail, how are you? Thanks for asking. I live on a log, isn't that neat? I just grew the other day. A tree had to fall before I could grow. It gives me food and a nice place to live. So every day, I always think to myself, what a generous tree. I love this tree so much. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. You can sit here for a while if it'll make you feel better. My home is a log. A tree becomes a log after it falls, and mushrooms like me can come live here. Are you a mushroom? Mushroom, non-mushroom, it's all the same to me. You can always come and sit here with us. We like you a lot. Oh, there's more than one. That's why. I see. I only talked to the middle one. Oh, they do say different things. I mean, I guess because they're mini-moris. The air is so fresh today, it makes me want to get out and try something new. Maybe I'll go have my food fortune read. There's a mini-mori that does that. Let's check out the festival grounds. See if anything is different now. Yeah, of course his dialogue's the same, because all he cares about is pancakes. Oh, it's blocked off, isn't it? Damn. News reached the village this morning that the Great Forest Guardian has awoken. I wonder if this is the cause for such marvelous weather. Panky's still busy, it seems. You still say exactly the same thing? Oh, it's the same dialogue. I think I should visit the people in the real world. Oh, airplanes. Okay, your dialogue doesn't change. How about you? How you feeling? I'm good. I guess... Oh, okay. I guess Winston... Wait. Was that different? I think that was the same, right? I guess Winston's dialogue is the only one that's actually different. Maybe it's time to get my wish granted, because I don't think there's much dialogue here. Especially important dialogue. Kisaburo Sue are gone. I think it is implied that Sue dies, right? Jeez, that's really sad. What's up? Same thing again. I really wish the dialogue does change, but then... I mean, I don't think most people would just go around and talk to everyone, right? Although that would be really cool. It would be good. Just to get the full story. Yeah, it's like really linear, I guess. It's not necessary, but it just adds more to the world, makes it more alive. Cabbage. Oh yeah, cabbage. Okay, yeah, I think that's it. That's basically it, so... Pretty much just Winston. Let's get our wish granted now. After all our hard work. Am I ready? I'm ready to make my wish. I'm sure. Okay, sweetie, let's go. So you're the one who woke me. Yes. I've heard the things that are too quiet for the ears. I listened to their fears and I learned what they longed for. I learned their hopes and their dreams. And I wanted those things for them. I really, really wanted those things for them. Then you have completed the challenges of the forest, and I will grant you one wish. So tell me, young one, what is it that you wish for? My wish? Yes. What is your wish, my child? I wish... I wish for a ride on your magical boat. I want to sail to Rakuen. Very well then. Your wish is granted. That's a really nice boat. Mom. I can't believe we're actually here. It's been a very long journey. You did great. Oh, Mom. You're my brave little warrior. The reason I go on. No matter what, I'll never ever stop loving you. Never forget that, okay? And promise me you'll keep being brave. Keep shining your light. Mom. I want you to know that your kind heart and your gentle spirit, those are such special gifts. Mom. I'm gonna miss you so much. I'm gonna miss you so very much, my baby. Mom. Yes, dear? You're my hero. Promise me you'll be strong for me. I promise. I love you, Mom. I love you. So I guess that's implied that he did die in the end? Even though he was feeling better?
Sank into the water. Then we swam beneath the bridge. We met a man who sold us what we needed. He gave us directions, and we swim, and we fall. Hold my hand through it all. If we jump into the water, would we swim or would we drown? If we build a set of wings, then could we fly or just fall down? And if you keep talking to me through this darkness, through this night, I'll be alright. Though we were without a map, without a plan, without a destination, we knew where we were going.
Not an apple, by the way.
We put
Oh, that is a big cup of tea.
If we jump into the water, would we swim or would we drown? If we build a set of wings, then could we fly or just fall down? And if you keep talking to me through this darkness, through this night, I'll be alright. I'll be alright. Be alright. Da 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 da. Would you hold me so I'd never be afraid? As the sky falls down around us now, if you tell me everything will be okay, I'll believe you. You don't have to tell me how. If we jump into the water, would we swim or would we drown? If we build a set of wings, then could we fly or just fall down? And if you keep talking to me through this darkness, through this night, I'll be alright.
Well, it's finally over. It was longer than I expected. Thought it was only going to be like 6 to 7 hours or something, but ended up playing for about 10 hours. Pretty long time. Although I did leave it on for a while. Just left it on and walked away and came back. That ending, though, it's such a... I mean, I expected it to be a sad game, but... Jeez, that was a really bittersweet ending. I don't think it explicitly explains if there's like two boys and one of them is dead now and then the other one's alive. That's what it seems to imply, because the father said there's, you know, there's a they, take care of them. And then she was seen with another child at the very end, hugging, and I assume her mother. And then they sent off two boats afloat during that scene. So the two boats, one of them is for boy, one of them is for the father. I assume that's what it's implying. And the boat to Rakuen is like a boat to paradise, but it's also a boat to a supposed afterlife, I guess. Because I think there are some implications about Rakuen being kind of like the afterlife. Jeez. I guess I'm supposed to do my closing statements. I mean, these are my closing statements. Usually when I do closing statements, it's, just talk about the game. But for this kind of game, it's very difficult to talk about because on the one hand, I don't want to criticize a game that's like this because it's there to be emotional. It's an emotional story. But on the other hand, it's unfair to just say, okay, I can't criticize it or anything. I really hate it when people do that. When they're emotionally attached to something and they refuse to critically look at something, they use their heart over their brain. It's really irritating. People do it all the time. It's how people judge whether something is good or not, instead of trying to look at a bigger, wider perspective, something that's outside of their comfort zone, or if they try to play devil's advocate or something. They don't do that. So I'm gonna make this short, shorter than my other closing statements because I often go on for a long time. So let's just go straight into it. The gameplay, it's not that great. The problem with the gameplay is that it's a story-centric game. Keep that in mind too. It's a story-centric game, so it's okay if the gameplay is not good, but yeah, the gameplay is not good. Because even for this kind of game, the puzzles and stuff, a lot of the game is just you wandering around, talk to someone, do this, talk to something, and then a lot of the things that you do aren't even that significant to the story. So when you go around and you like assemble the chess pieces, or you walk around and flip some switches, that kind of stuff, it doesn't really add anything to the game. It doesn't really add anything to their story because, for example, Tony's story, what does flipping the switches and stuff have to do with anything? Nothing really. We already know that the entire house is like a secret base kind of thing. There's a lot of hidden doors and stuff like that. But a lot of it is nonsensical. Like, why would hitting the switches, the breakers, like, let the trapdoors open up or something and allow you to go into the attic and stuff like that? It's just there as a gateway to slowly filter in the story so that you take your time with it. That's basically it. But it doesn't really add anything significant, because there are a lot of games out there that do the same thing, except your actions will actually affect the story. It'll affect your perception of the story. It adds to the story, so it kind of simulates what the characters do to get to places. So, in the same example, take 13 steps to get into the back door. That one, that's gameplay. That's gameplay with story tied together. So more of that kind of stuff I would have liked a lot more. I guess it's kind of tied in with the story as well. The Kisaburo and Sue stories were kind of short compared to the Winston one and the Tony one. So I would have liked to see that fleshed out a bit more, because the Sue one was just a backstory into Pucci, and it wasn't very long. It was just kind of linear, very linear actually, even more linear than most of the story. And Kisaburo one was the tea party, so you spent a lot of time at the tea party, but it didn't really add that much, because the story endings were like feel good cop out endings, like, oh, actually, time to give you a troll ending. Well, the perpetrator was Monsieur Bud, and that kind of thing. But it's still okay for what it does. Like, this game is still good for what it does. I just would have liked to see some more interactive and more significant gameplay elements, despite it being a story-centric game. Now, on the topic of story, I criticized the writing throughout the entire story, but I'll go a little bit further than that. I said that the writer's voice and the character's voice were matching. Usually you don't want to do that because you want your characters to have their own voice. You want your narrator or you want your storyteller to have their own voice. You don't want to make the two of them intersect. So in this case, since there's no narrator technically, you don't want all of your characters to sound the same, which is what this game does. And it's like an amateur mistake, but it's something you can look over and be like, whatever, it's okay. Because what the story really wants you to do is it wants you to experience this emotional thing, right? And that's what it does. It's a gut-wrenching game. It's been a while since I played a game that was this sad, or maybe it just resonates with me more. Sometimes you can't really help but feel for the game more, feel for the story more, and like for me, I just can't handle animals and children dying. Even though as a writer myself, I will see. If you're a writer, you're a scumbag. Basically, you're a piece of trash. You're a horrible person. A lot of writers like to write stories where they make their characters suffer, including children and animals, and I would totally do that. I will make my child characters and animal characters suffer and kill them and put them in pain just for the sake of story. But that's what writers do, because writers are scumbags. And that's what this game does. This game makes you feel for the characters, even though you don't want them to suffer. As a consumer, as a reader, as a player, you don't want them to suffer. You want them to have a happy ending. That's what we're led to believe, based on like Disney stuff that we read, children's stories. When we're younger, we want a happy ending. We want a happily ever after ending. But this game is one of those bittersweet endings. You understand, this it has to be this way. There's no choice. And you feel bad for the characters. Some of it is nice, some of it isn't nice. Like Sue with Pucci reuniting. It's great, right? And then all of a sudden Sue dies. Like, oh, god damn it. Like, seriously? Why would you do this to me? just as a segue, if you're a writer, be a scumbag. Basically, make the reader or the consumer hate you. That's what your goal is as a writer. So yeah, this game does that pretty well, but I would have liked the story to be a little more mature. So, for example, we have stories like this already. A very famous example is probably Undertale. It's not exactly the same thing, but it's one of those emotional stories. I think this game is much more emotional than Undertale. When I was playing Undertale, I felt sad, but it wasn't like what people said, like, oh, I cried so much during that game. Not really. It was a sad game for sure, but it was more funny than sad. And the story for Undertale wasn't that great. It was a character experience. The characters were amazing, but the story was average, just your typical story. And then the emotional aspects were good too. This game has a much better story because it ties in with the real world. There's probably more you can look up. If you replay the game, you can probably find more little tidbits that you missed if you do some research on the tsunami and earthquake thing. But yeah, like there's some real world significance. The characters are more real in this game because they're supposed to be real. So in that sense, it's superior to Undertale, but obviously if you compare gameplay, Undertale is way better. Not a good comparison. Other games, if you have played Mother 3, Mother 3 is very similar to this game in terms of its emotional effect and its kind of social commentary kind of thing. This is less social commentary. Mother 3 has a lot of social commentary. This game is more so just dealing with tragedy, dealing with loss. You never really find exact parallels, but the point I'm trying to make is that there are games that already tug at your heartstrings and they're really gut-wrenching and bittersweet and painful for the reader, the consumer, and they do a better job than this game in terms of just telling the story, because it feels like this is a story for kids, and I do think that if a younger person were to play this game, they would enjoy it, all of it. It's a really nice game. Like, you know how most of the game is boy with his mother? I feel like that's the kind of story it is. It's a kind of story where you read it to your children, or read it to a younger sibling, or someone who's younger, and it's a game that's very good about teaching them how to deal with loss and teaching them how to deal with pain. So in that sense, it's a good story. It's like an introduction story, but for people who are more experienced readers, the story is a bit lacking in a lot of aspects. And like I said, I don't like criticizing. I hate criticizing something like this because it's good for what it does. It really is. But I have to be fair about it, right? Like, I really enjoyed this game. I played Nier this year. So Nier's gonna probably be the best game of the year. But like, this game is very good too. In terms of story, I should say. In terms of story, this game is very good too. I really liked it. But the execution obviously could be a little better. Yeah, I'm not really comfortable. I'm still not very comfortable criticizing this game just because of, what it means. I think this game was better than To the Moon. It was definitely a lot more relatable than To the Moon. Finding Paradise is coming out soon, the next Freebird games. And I'm hoping that game ends up being good too. But, what else can I say, really? That's basically all I can really say about this game. There really isn't much else to say. Oh, I guess the music and the art is amazing. The music, as you can hear now, it's great. The art, very charming art. I feel like charming's a cop-out word now. When people want to say something is okay, but there are problems with it, they say it's charming. When I say charming, I don't actually mean it that way. I actually mean it in like the actual sense of the word. It's a very charming art style. It's very cute, and I like cute stuff. And cats. Cute cats. Put cats in your game. Or Leebles. So there's that appeal aspect to it. Very nice. So, in terms of recommendations, if you watch the entire playthrough, obviously you know what's going to happen. In a story-centric game like this, it's unfortunate that it loses some of its replay value because it does tell a story that you can only You only hear the story for the first time once, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So this is one of those things. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but if you didn't buy this game, like, at least try to support the developers and, buy the soundtrack or buy the game, gift the game, let someone else experience Rakuen, and let them enjoy it. Hopefully a blind playthrough, because it really is a good experience. It's a very good experience, even though it's not the perfect game. I guess what else can you take away from this game? YouTube is I always say this, YouTube is a cesspool. There's a lot of really hateful people out there, and a lot of people who just don't understand where you're coming from. So if there's anything to take away from this game, is that you don't understand anything about other people. You assume things about other people. You assume people are a certain way. The Tony and the Liebel incidents, that was kind of this story's way of telling you that. And the Winston one too. I really like the Winston and Tony stories more so than the Kisaburo, because we still don't know what Kisaburo's illness is, and the Sue one, even though I like dogs and cats. But yeah, Winston's story about like racism and cultural differences. Tony about a very distant father, couldn't be there for his kids. Misunderstanding. Chrissy misunderstanding. Tony's pain. Like, oh, my father hates me now. Mother says, no, your father doesn't hate you, but it really seems like he hates me. But the truth is, no, how could I hate you, right? Tony's like, Christina, how could I ever hate you? You're my daughter, and it's gut wrenching. Yeah, if you saw the playthrough, you know what I'm talking about. And then Kisaburo's story, I wish it went further. I wish we got to know more about him. Just too many time skips, too rushed. Sue's story was better fleshed out, but I would have liked to see more as well. And then the Uma twist was kind of just sudden. I'm talking about the story again. I'm probably gonna, whenever I do closing statements without a script, like this, I always go off on a tangent, and then it goes on for longer than I expect it to be, and then I forget things, and I want to talk about it again, but then I don't want to redo another video, or I don't know, just forget it. What was I talking about now? Oh yeah, real world takeaways. Just remember that you don't understand people. It's hard to understand people. Try not to be rude to people. Try to be nice to people. Treat people like you would want to be treated. So I think that's probably the best takeaway from this game. If you're more of an older person, and this isn't like an introduction to death and loss and stuff like that to you, just remember, even as adults, you don't understand anything about the world. You know nothing, Jon Snow. People everywhere are going through different things, different problems. Some actually have mental illnesses. Some have people who are suffering, family, friends who are suffering. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their reason for doing things are. They could be really terrible reasons. It's just the problem with our world, and it's probably always going to be like that. It's a very pessimistic view, but that's just how I see things. So the best you can do is just at least try to treat people better. Try to treat people well. Try to at least be understanding. If people act a certain way to you, try not just, try to avoid bad stuff, if possible. That's my takeaway. That's my final closing statement on this matter. This game though, finally over. Let's close the book on Rakuen. I'm Ventus. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. This was Rakuen by Laura Shigihara. And now we close the book on Rakuen.